it is that you're doing, but you're here. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to do my best to try to deliver as much relevant and actionable content as I possibly can for you guys to make your time worth it. So a little bit about me. I joined Fortune Builders back in 2016, February, actually. So right around the same time as you. And I was active duty military in the Coast Guard for 16 years at that time. And I guess I didn't feel like I had enough going on. So why not try to take on the real estate world and education and figure it all out? So I hit the ground running. What I found out by going through Fortune Builders is that I'm a really good student. I'm very coachable, and I take a lot of action despite how uncomfortable it feels. You know, there's a lot of action items that came from my coaches early on, and I didn't know anything, but I didn't let it stop me from doing it, no matter how embarrassing or sloppy it looked. Just, you know, the action was to get it done. I never wanted to get back on a coach call and say that I wasn't able to do something or that I didn't even try. So through that, I was able to get 8 deals my first year, couple flips, couple wholesales. Not all of them were winners. My very first one, actually, I lost $12,000 because of a septic tank that I didn't catch, which sucked, but it forced me to actually go out and try harder and pick up my first 4 wholesales to make up for that. So my first year was ups and downs, a lot of ups and downs, like a lot of people. And then my second year, we went to a lot of boot camps the first year, picked up a lot of nuggets, and we were able to implement a lot of systems into our business and grow our business. And it was around the same time that I actually got orders from the military to move out of New Jersey and get transferred down to Virginia, where I currently live. And so I was kind of upset at first because, you know, I had invested everything into that market to become an influencer and make contacts, and now I had to leave. And after I got over that, I realized that this was actually a kind of a blessing, because it really made me, I ended up going to the Office Systems Academy once I got that news, because I wanted to see how they built out their team. And I took a lot of nuggets from that and implemented that stuff when I came home. And I went from basically being a solopreneur to hiring 8 people to come into my team and just outsource each department with a task list and training and stuff like that. So getting transferred was probably the best thing that could have happened to me for a couple of reasons. Because it allowed me to grow my team, and it also took me out of my market. And it's funny because I bet a lot of us are like this, where, you know, if we have projects going on, we want to visit the project every day, and we're up our contractor's butt and we're picking them apart and we're asking questions, which doesn't sometimes lead to the best relationship with contractors. So me getting out of my market and getting into Virginia, the day that I actually showed up and I wasn't able to go to any of my rehabs that I had going on, I actually looked at my son, and we were waiting for the moving truck to show up. And I was able to look at him, and I was like, "Hey man, you want to throw the football?" Which was kind of a huge moment for me, because I hadn't been able to do that. I sacrificed all of my family time to build my business up until that point. So it was kind of an eye opener. It was one of those moments I just remember sitting in a 3-day, you know, daydreaming about what it looked like to have financial freedom and be able to do all this for time back with my family. And I got it at that moment. And it made me realize that I really enjoy remote investing. And ever since then, I've made a pact with myself that I'll never invest in the city that I live in, because I never want to be like, have that pull to want to go to a rehab or go to a RIA meeting or go, you know, just be that involved. And it's allowed me to get a lot of that time back with my family, and really also forced me to find efficiencies in my business and forced me to outsource a lot of stuff. So that was pretty cool. That was in my second year, or like a year. It was actually a little over a year and a half when that happened. In that second year, we did 24 flips. You know, most of it I was remote, which was pretty awesome. And then, so that was 2017. And then 2018, we got a little big for our britches. And I haven't really shared this story much, but I think it's relevant, especially hearing a lot of you guys are some of my students from previously, you know, when I was a coach, and a lot of you guys are just looking for your first deal and have a couple of deals going on. But in 2018, we were pretty confident because we had 30 deals under our belt. And we went into a part of a market that it was hot when we got into it, and stuff was selling for over asking, and there was multiple offers. And then once we came into it and we used some of the data that we had, we started putting in offers. And the first 2 months that we were in that part of the market, we ended up winning 6 deals. And after the first month where we got 3 deals, I thought it was just because we were that good at what we were doing. And then the second month when we won 3 more deals in a market that was so hot, I kind of stopped and I said, something's not right, because we shouldn't be winning all these deals. And sure enough, like, there was a lot of local corruption and a lot of things shut down. People moved out. The town became a ghost town, which we didn't know all the backstory. And it led to, we picked up 6 properties that we couldn't sell. We teamed up with bad contractors in the area, and we ended up losing multiple 6 figures in our business that year in 2018. So it was a pretty rough year for us. We probably should have shut the doors, but in typical fighter fashion, I wasn't going to let it stop us. And we ended up shifting our focus, and we knew that we had a lot of private money lender debt that we had to pay off monthly. And so we had a huge nut to cover. And so we ended up looking at getting into some rentals to get some cash flow, because we had a really good rental market there in New Jersey where we were in South Jersey. So we picked up a 6-unit apartment complex, a 13-unit apartment complex, and a few more houses to cap off 2018. Going into 2019, we ended up with 47 doors in about 9 months. We ramped up, and it created a massive source of income for us, which helped us cover our bad debt, which was awesome. And I think that it was huge because, the community helped me through it. The education helped me through it. My coaches helped me through it. Students, I learned a lot from students when I was coaching them. And so I took a lot of nuggets from what people have been doing to build their passive income. And we were able to implement that into our company. And so we're stronger now because of it. We have over $3 million in real estate in our portfolio now here in South Jersey. And we're actually looking to sell it now because it's like at all-time high. We got all this equity in it, so it's pretty cool. We can sell, make money, and I think we're going to try to move to Tennessee and pick up some properties in Tennessee. But so that was 2018. 2019, we ended up moving up into another market because our market was so competitive where we were at, just like everybody else, right? Like all these fortune builders come into our market and make it extremely hard to get deals, right? So not just fortune builders, but other investors who maybe aren't as educated and they're willing to pay way more than you probably should to pick up properties, makes it extremely hard. So we ended up going up to Central Jersey, right outside of New York, and we partnered with an architect and a contractor, and we basically did like a 3-day, I don't know how many of you guys actually went through your, what do they call it? The full immersion, where you go through and you walk the property and you have the repair estimator. Well, we did that. We did like a mini full immersion with our contractor and our agent up there. We taught our agent how to walk properties, do the deal analyzer, do the repair estimator, and we implemented an MLS offering system with them up there where they were submitting 5 to 10 offers a week. We'd have a 1-hour phone call every Monday. They'd present all the properties that they walked with, the repair estimators, the comps, and we would just submit offers like that. And we ended up getting 3. We picked up 3 estate sales up there. Then we were doing ADA levels. So rip the roof off, pop the top, add a second story to it. That was in 2019. We did really good. We actually are under contract to sell our last one in this month coming up. So we've done a little bit of everything. We've gone, remote markets, we've gone pop-a-tops, we've gone rentals, we've gone wholesales. So we've got a lot of different things under our belt from anchored homes. So in 2020, I actually, as I was winding down my Coast Guard career, I saw an opportunity through, a lot of the events, a lot of the coaching. I just saw that there was just a lot of gaps in the industry. A lot of people, like, there was no solution for a couple of things. And one of those big things that we'll cover a lot today is social media. I was coaching for Mind Protein for a while, and, we were doing coach calls where, I would basically lay out a very detailed plan, and then we'd have a call a month later, and then people would get back on the call, and it's like, all right, we gave you the strategy, we gave you the links, we gave you the tools. How did it go? And it was just, for one reason or another, they just couldn't implement it, whether they didn't have time, whether it was confusing because they didn't understand it. Even though there was a lot of detail there, there's still a lot of things to try to understand about social media, or just flat out, they just don't like social media. It's just not their cup of tea, which is cool. So now that you have the education and then there's implementation, there was a piece in the middle that, like, can we find a way to automate this? And so I took what I had learned 4 years ago from Bob McIntosh and the Mind Protein internet intensive in 2016. We've been using that for 4 years up until that point. And I said, what if we were to just replicate this? Like, what if we can find somebody that could do this for multiple investors and do it at a price that people can afford, that wouldn't break the bank? And so my business partner, Jessica, who was my marketing manager at that time, she was one of the people that we brought on when I was outsourcing and growing. I knew one of her goals was to actually start and build her own company. So I said, hey, I'm really good at building companies, like building businesses around systems and processes. I said, I think what you're doing for us, implementing this system, we can replicate this. So do you want to start a business? And absolutely, the answer was yes. And so then it was just a matter of, stepping down from Mind Protein, so that way there was no conflict of interest there. And then now beginning to pursue providing this opportunity to real estate investors to have basically an autopilot turnkey system based off of all the education that you guys had already been receiving. So that's how the social media company was born. During that time, in 2020, we created a short-term rental business based off some education that we heard during Ignite. So we have a short-term rental business down in Florida where we're doing the rental arbitrage method. So, we just find landlords that are looking for tenants, and then our company becomes the tenant. And then we sign a sublease addendum that allows us to sublease it as a short-term rental. So we don't even have to buy the property. We just pay rent and then re-rent it to short-term renters. It's an amazing way to get into short-term rentals with not a lot of money out of your pocket. So we picked up a couple of those, then COVID hit, and that completely stopped us in our tracks. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We have two. They've been performing very well, and we're very excited to actually, we have a goal to add 10 more to our portfolio this year, now that it's kind of stabilized. So that's the short-term rental. We also started a skip tracing company. Again, lack of a good quality provider for skip tracing. We did a lot of skip tracing in 2019 and 2020, and there was we got a lot of garbage data. We paid for a lot of data that didn't actually produce anything. The customer service was terrible. Everything that I hated about skip tracing, I wanted to make a product and a solution that we could provide to real estate investors. And so we created Best Skip Tracer in June of 2020. And it's been amazing. The company is on autopilot. I have a team that does the skip tracing and the scrubbing in the background, that gets the data from all the different databases and provides it. And I spend about an hour and a half, maybe two, during the week, just kind of answering some emails back and forth. And then the whole thing is, we've built out a website that it's its own ecosystem. So you guys log in, you drop your list, it goes to my team, they scrub it, they put it back in there, and then you get an email saying it's ready. So it's been amazing, because I think,
and I just want to jump in real quick, because literally I think I updated or uploaded a list at like 6 p.m. the other night, and by like 4 a.m. I got an email, here's your list, it's all done, scrubbed, so they're turning around these lists in less than 24 hours, guys. So it's really and I've used some other skip tracers that were not as good data. So I do.
Yeah, and that's one thing, right? Like, that's one of the things that I didn't like, was how long it took. And so, amongst all the other things, our price, you can't beat our price in the industry. you can't beat the customer service because it's my smiling face. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, so I think through all of that, so what I want to say before I get into social media is that what I've learned from fortune builders is like business is built on systems. And once you can figure out how to build one business on systems and processes and checklists and core values and, you know, all of the things that come with building a business, I've literally taken Anchored Homes. I take the Anchored Homes logo off and I put Social Soaring right there. I put that logo on and it's literally all the same documents, all the same communications, all the same structure in the back end. And you can just do that with as many businesses that align with what it is that you want to do. And so that's been, you know, among all the great things that I've learned from fortune builders, I think just building business around systems is one of the biggest things that I think that we could all take away from it. So that's kind of that's my background. I live in Virginia, I flip in New Jersey, and I got a couple flips going on right now. So that was my intro. That was kind of long. I apologize. But so let's get into some social media. So I want to ask some questions actually, because I know that there's a lot of fortune builders here. I think everyone's probably fortune builders. I know that there's a lot of people here that I've coached. So a lot of what you may hear tonight may not be new, but you may be in a different spot in your business now where maybe if it's the second or third time you've heard it, that it might be something that resonates with you that you can take action on. This happens to me all the time when I've gone to the rehab boot camp 4 times. I hear JD say the same thing every time, but I pick up something new every time because I'm at a different spot in my business when I hear it. So what I'd like to ask, I can't see a lot of pictures, so I don't, a lot of video, a lot of people got their video off, but what I'd like to know is, you know, who here already has an active social media? You guys are, and we'll classify active as 3 or more posts per week on their social media business pages. I see Wendy, Marie, Jim Jensen, Marie, and Anita, I know you do. I love watching your stuff, Anita. You got a lot of stuff out there. That's pretty cool. So, all right, a handful of people. All right, so what I'll do is I just kind of want to share a little bit of my journey through the social media as an entrepreneur. And I think once I get through it, you'll understand and you'll probably say, yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. And that's where I need to be. So I started off going through that class with Bob McIntosh that I was telling you guys, and they teach us how to hire virtual assistants. They gave us a cadence. They say, hey, here's your Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you know, news on Monday, some kind of service or blog on Wednesday, and something funny on Friday. Go forth and conquer. Go find a virtual assistant to do this. So they taught us how to write job ads for virtual assistants. I went out and I found a virtual assistant. And once I've identified it took me 3 weeks and I went through 20 different applicants and whittled it down to the last 3 people. And I finally picked one at the end of the 3rd week. And now that I brought him in and he met all of my qualifications, now I had to figure out, how do I train this person? What do I give them? And I'm like, well, I've got this sweet little book from boot camp. I know you're across the seas, but maybe I can scan this whole thing in and you can just read this, right? And so, you know, now comes the task of training him and putting a system into place. And not only that, but providing this is where it becomes difficult. It was very difficult for me. And I know this, it gets difficult for a lot of students, is like, what kind of content, like, who am I? Who is Anchored Homes? What kind of vibe do I want to have? And how do I put content together and verbiage together to be able to portray my vibe? And that's where immediately I got stuck. So, and here's something that I would recommend to all of you guys is, if this is where you're at right now, as you know, you need social media, but you just don't know like how to portray what your company is, go look at other companies. I actually contacted Bob McIntosh and I said, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm going to post, so I'm just going to tell them to go to your social media and copy everything that you do. Literally download your content and put my logo on that. He goes, yeah, that's what I do. You think I create all this stuff? No. Do you think anybody creates anything new on social media? No, it's all recycled from everybody. So if you are in a position where you just don't know what kind of content that you want to put out, go look at some other people's content so that way you can get an idea. And there's nothing wrong with swiping their stuff and then, putting your logo on it. And so there's a couple, and Marie, just can you do me a favor? Can you just, if I say I'm going to provide something, can you just write it down so that way you can give me a list of all the stuff I say I'm going to provide? Awesome, thanks. So what I'll do is I'll provide you guys like 5 to 6 companies on social media that I think are killing it, that are great places to go for inspiration for you guys to look and say, I like this style, I like this content, just so that way you guys can compile something that's some inspiration for you guys. So that's kind of where I was. Like, I was at the point where I needed inspiration to provide this virtual assistant that I just hired. Content to be able to post. So I ended up landing a $400 a month virtual assistant. It was $100 per week. And they ended up doing 3 posts per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday to start off. They created the content, they created the verbiage, and they posted on Facebook, Instagram, and at that point, it was Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Instagram wasn't part of the equation back then. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So they were posting 3 times per week on all 3 platforms with content that they were creating. And then they were also tracking it and coming up with metrics. So I want you guys to understand that part right there, because that is a really good part to understand. Like, for $100 a week, you should be able to get that at the very least. 3 posts that are created for you with verbiage on at least 3 platforms with some sort of KPI tracking or metrics every week for you guys. So that's a good baseline right there. So we tried to cut that down to find a cheaper virtual assistant, but the quality and the consistency and the accountability was more, I was chasing them more than I was just looking at the numbers at the end of the week. So anywhere from that $50 to $100 a week mark is a really good spot to be if you guys are looking to do this yourself or find a virtual assistant. So I went through that. I did about 6 or 7 months where I literally was copying Redhead Properties. I was copying all their content before I finally kind of found my footing. And I was like, okay, enough with copying that. I want to create my own stuff. And at that point, I didn't have the right virtual assistant for that because they weren't really good at the creative part. So I actually had to go through the entire process again of finding another virtual assistant who was actually that understood the creative part. They could make some of these things from scratch. And so that was another 3-week process. But I capped it at $400. I was able to find somebody for that $400 a month to be able to take that off of my plate. And what I found during that time is it was really important to get that off of my plate, because when I didn't get it off my plate, when I actually had to take it, I realized as I'm creating content and I'm going to try to find this, I'm getting sucked in to consuming this social media. And it was literally what should have been taking me 45 minutes to an hour to be able to create. I was spending hours on social media consuming it. And I didn't realize that until I switched virtual assistants and I got sucked back into the content creation part. And I was like, oh man, and Marie, I've told you this, like, I don't like social media. I can't stand it because I get sucked in so easily, commenting and liking and just getting involved in all that stuff. So, and I think a lot of us have probably found ourselves in the same situation, right? You'll wake up in the morning, first thing you do is you grab your phone, you see a couple notifications, next thing you know, an hour's gone by and you're like, holy crap, I could have really been doing something productive. Or, throughout the day, it's lunch and then whatever, right? There's all these different times throughout the day where you can find yourself getting sucked in for social media. And so that's why I firmly believe, regardless if you love social media or not, unless you can be extremely disciplined with your time on your phone and social media, you have to get this off of your plate, at least for the very least, just to get the distractions off of your plate, so that way you can focus on the stuff that's really going to generate money and leads and stuff like that into your business. So
Right, Paul, I just want to jump in real quick. So I hired a VA through like Upwork last year to do this. I was paying about $50 a week, which was right on par with what you were saying. I did give them Anchored Homes as one of the ones that they should follow and publish, but I never gave them the metrics. So I want to point out how key that is, because I literally paid this VA for a year straight, and I didn't see my following increasing. I did get the consistency that I was looking for, which was, I think they did 5 days a week for me at $50 a week, which doesn't sound super expensive. And they made things look the same. And people, my friends would say, hey, I saw your post, but it didn't help my actual growth on social media either. So I think the tracking of the KPIs that you mentioned is key. And by the way, Rob, don't go pointing at Rochelle over there when you're talking about wasting time on social media. I saw that. Okay, back to you, John Paul.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think we're all guilty at some point or another. You know, choose your favorite social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. It's really easy to get sucked in, especially now, like in 2020, when everything's remote and it's like, what else are you doing, right? Like, it's so easy to pick up the phone. So I say 2020. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that on you guys. It's 2021, but still, like, the habits have been formed. So, but yeah, so. It was around that time, you know, after I'd had, it was like the 6 to 9 month mark, I switched over, and I didn't really vibe with the new VA that I found. And that's when I found Jessica. Jessica was somebody who was referred to me by somebody else. She was doing somebody else's social media. So I brought her in, and I gave her the Mind Protein training, and I kind of showed her the cadence, and it was an amazing start, or it was amazing right from the start. So so before I go farther into that story, I just wanted to give you guys some places to go to find some virtual assistants. Like, if you're looking to actually do something like this and you like the idea of being able to go and find a virtual assistant, Upwork is probably the best place to find a virtual assistant that can do all these things. I know that there's like a lot of other virtual assistant companies that, you know, people, gosh, when I went through, it was like Online Jobs, PH, Filipino, something or other. There was Outdesk, there was like all these different places, but Upwork is like the mega spot for a lot of these freelancers. And you'll probably find, if you're looking for a one-off VA, that's probably a really good spot to go to get started. So, so now fast forward. So let's talk about what happened when I actually hired Jessica. Was amazing, because it went from just content for the sake of just content to relevant content that was actually generating growth and leads. And I think the one thing that she brought to the table was, Marie, you beat me to the punch, was the growth aspect of it. So when she took over our account, we were at like 300 or 400 followers. And one of the first things I did was I challenged her to get us to 1,000 followers on Facebook. And she was like, well, hey, why don't you do like a challenge, right? Like, get people involved. And so this is what I was missing on the social media side of it, like this back and forth, like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And so she challenged us to do like this. I was going to jump out of I did jump out of an airplane once we got to 1,000 likes, which I'm not a big fan of jumping out of airplanes. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. And I'm not really a scared type of person, but like my entire life flashed before my eyes for like 30 minutes going up into the top of the sky. But once I jumped out, it was like, it was amazing. So, but anyway, you know, the point is that it actually took my social media to a whole nother level, which was amazing. And so from there, one of the things that I want to point out to you guys is there's a tool. Has anybody heard of Hootsuite? HOOTSUITE? All right, so Hootsuite was an amazing discovery. There's a lot of different tools out there now, like Later, LATER. You guys might want to write this down. So later.com That is like a social media like you can tie in multiple social media platforms. So later.com is a good one. The only thing that they lack is LinkedIn. They don't have LinkedIn yet, which kind of sucks. Hootsuite is amazing. They have everything, and they're constantly updating what you can do on there. And there's another one called Buffer. So those are like the big three: Buffer, Buffer. So the idea behind this is, instead of going to each individual platform and posting 3 times a week, you can tie in with your credentials all of your social media into one platform like Hootsuite, and you can literally make one graphic with one verbiage, and you can hit post, and it'll go out to all 3 of the different platforms. And what's even better is that you can batch this activity of creating content and scheduling it. So what we used to do is, on Sunday, we would spend about an hour and a half creating content, getting it all loaded up into Hootsuite for the following week, 5 days of content, Monday through Friday. And we would set it, and then throughout the week we wouldn't even touch content creation or posting. And it was like 9 o'clock every night, a new post would go out, and so it was amazing, because we were able to batch, instead of like stopping what we were doing every day to create something to make sure it goes out at a certain time. We were able to batch, and that's huge. As an entrepreneur, you need to find opportunities to be able to batch the things that you do. And so that's a really easy one. Like, if you guys are looking to do this yourself, Hootsuite and batching on like a Sunday for the following week is a really good idea. So Marie, I just want to pause for 1 second to see if there's any questions. I know I just shot out a couple of tools and an idea, so I just wanted to see if there's any questions at all before I go on.
All right. If nobody says anything, I do want to ask you, because you mentioned the word cadence before. Can you explain what cadence is for some people that might not know that terminology?
Yep, absolutely. So cadence, right? When you talk about a cadence, I think there's a couple big things when you talk about social media. And one of the big things on social media, and you guys could probably all attest to this, is you guys want to follow people that you know, like, and trust, and people that are their cadence, they have something like it's kind of a predictability, right? So, for example, I don't know if any of you guys do the Friday coffee break at 10 o'clock every Friday. I know that the Friday coffee break's going to come on because that's their cadence, and I can look for that, right? So when you're a company and you're looking to get on social media, the cadence at which you do things is pretty important to stay consistent, so that way your users know what to expect. And even within that cadence, Marie, this might have been where you were going with this, is, you're going to want to switch up the type of content that you're posting every day. Like, not every day is a motivational post, right? Or not every day is we buy houses. And so switching up the content that you're putting out there is extremely important as well. And so I'll give you guys a couple of ideas of content. So, and I'll just tell you what we did to start. So what we did is, on Mondays, we would do like a motivation or an inspirational thing, right? So we would go to, we would type in Google motivational quotes or inspirational quotes, or, famous quotes by presidents or leaders or something like that. And we would take those, whatever we could find that resonated with who we were, and we would use that quote for the day. And I'm going to get to another tool called Canva here in just a minute, which is probably the tool of all tools on what to do with this stuff after you find it. So on Monday, we do like a motivational or an inspirational post. Tuesday, this is where, if you guys are already doing deals, I would recommend doing a 5-day-a-week post. If you haven't done any deals yet, or your social media is just getting up and running, I would do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday post, a 3-day-a-week post, just to get something up and running. So if you got some deals going on and you guys can handle a 5-day-a-week, one of the things that I would always recommend on Tuesdays and Thursdays would be to do something specific to your company. So on Tuesdays, we would typically do like some sort of project update or a company update. And this could be anything from, if you are working on a project, you can go and you can do a short video at your project, or you can take some pictures and you can say, hey, check out the progress that we have going on at 123 Main Street. It's coming to the market real soon. And what this does is, for people that are like following you guys, or that are coming to see who you are, if they're gonna do deals with you, it provides a ton of credibility and authority in your space, because it shows that you guys are actually doing what you say you're going to do, right? And so having something that's legitimately specific to your business is very, very impactful. I mean, think about the way HGTV works, right? We all get sucked into HGTV and we watch these flipping houses. You guys, anybody who has a deal has the same opportunity to be able to do that on a smaller scale through your social media. So like that reality part sells. What is really happening in your business is the content that you're probably going to get the most engagement on. So Tuesday, we would do like a project update or a company update. And even if you don't have any projects, a company update could literally be right here. Screenshot this page, and you can brag about how you are continuously looking to up your game, up your network, to be a better service provider, a better home buyer for people in the Phoenix area, right? Like, this could be a company update that shows that you're actively doing the business and continuing to grow. So Tuesdays would be project or company updates. Wednesdays is a great day for blogs. There's two different ways that you guys can do blogs. You guys can actually go out and find blogs on like Zillow, realtor.com. There's Bigger Pockets is a really big place to find a lot of good blogs. That's a huge real estate investment website. There's a lot of different places to go and find blogs. So you guys can, share blogs from different websites that might be helpful to buyers or sellers or investors, people that are visiting your page. So maybe you might share a blog that teaches people how to increase their home value. These 5 quick tips to be able to increase your home value in 2021, or something like that. That would be helpful and completely relevant to somebody who is in the real estate space. So that's one thing. If you guys are doing blogs on your website to increase your SEO, this would be a great day to share your own blog, because not only do you have a blog sitting on your website, now let's go ahead and take, your website's like this big, right? Like, nobody knows your website. It's like a speck on the map of the World Wide Web. So even that blog on your website is going to be extremely hard to find. So why not take the opportunity to put it on one of the largest websites in the world, and Facebook and Instagram, and funnel people off of those websites or off of those social media platforms onto your blog to be able to generate traffic. And that's the power of what we're trying to teach you here on social media, is to be able to funnel those people off of that. So that's a great place on Wednesday, is to be able to create that a blog or a post about a blog that's on your website. Again, if you don't have blogs yet, no worries. Just go out to Zillow or Redfin or Bigger Pockets and grab a blog that's relevant. Let's see, Thursday, this is, so we call this digital bandit sign Thursday. So a digital bandit sign could be anything from legitimately like what looks like a bandit sign and taking a picture of it and sharing that, to finding whatever type of niche that you guys are trying to niche down to, whatever type of seller that you're trying to reach. So for example, I'll tell you, for Anchored Homes, we have 3 different types of sellers that we try to reach. And so our message is typically based around this: is we look for people who have had fire or flood damage. Marie, I'm going to be talking to you. We look for people who have inherited property or are going through probate, or we look for tired landlords or absentee owners. So our messages on Thursdays, our digital bandit signs, are going to be, let's talk about a fire damaged property, right? If I'm focusing on trying to find fire damaged leads, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find a picture of a house that has caught fire or something that would look like devastation. And I'm going to use that as my digital bandit sign to catch somebody's attention. And I'm going to put some words on there that, that might resonate with somebody who has who has had a fire, right? Like, hey, has your house been on fire and you're looking to sell it, or we buy fire damage property, or whatever that is, that digital bandit sign. So that way, when people visit your page, they know what type of lead or like what type of person you help. So that's your digital bandit sign. And the Tuesdays and Thursdays, this is like, we're going to get a layer deeper here in just a second, but these are where we call these our money posts, because these are the posts that actually generate leads. All the other stuff is content for consistency. So so Thursday we'll do like a digital bandit sign. And if you're on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday post, you can put a digital bandit sign in any one of those, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. You can literally put any of these anywhere. I'm just telling you what we've done in the past. But on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday post, you might be able to move like a digital bandit sign or a company update onto and replace your blog or something like that. And then Friday is where we just, we keep it real and we let our hair down a little bit, and we'll put up some funny memes that we can find on the internet about real estate. And yeah, I call them memes. My kids make fun of me all the time because I know they're called memes, but I call them memes. I really wanted to do a cold hands Bernie Sanders meme on my Anchored Homes one, but everybody beat me to it, and I felt like I couldn't do it because it was just like everybody else did it before me. So I was too slow for that one. But yeah, but that would be one, right? Like maybe Bernie Sanders is in front of my house or a fire damaged property, and I could say something about, even Bernie Sanders knows that fire damaged properties need to sell or something. Who knows, right? Like it could be anything. So we just try to be funny on Friday just to lighten it up a little bit. All right, so that's kind of a cadence, right, Marie? That's kind of what you were talking about, was like having the different types of content. Some things that we've added along the way, and here's something else that you guys could write down. And Marie, remind me, I want to share this too. I want to share like all the different types of content that we do. Okay, so from inspirational to informational to motivational. We also do core values. We have a very strong set of core values and vision for our company, and we share that because we want people to know that we're real and that we have family values and core values. So we share a lot of core value stuff. We do some trivia. Sometimes it's like an A or B. Like you could do a split test, like which do you prefer, like the vinyl plank or the hardwood floors or something like that. So we'll do stuff like that try to engage people as well, like a split test. And there's a couple more. Like I said, I'll share. Marie, I don't know how you disseminate information, but I'll share a couple of things with you guys when it comes to that. All right, cadence. So with the cadence, there's a couple of things. We talked about the different types of platforms. And each platform, there's a couple different ways that you can do this. So you could be super in depth, and you can control every aspect of this. And you can, there are definitely optimal times to post on each specific platform. And there's definitely optimal messages that, your LinkedIn message might be different than your Instagram message, might be different than your Facebook message. And so you guys can go out and you can do that. You can craft messages for each one of those platforms. You can find the different posting times that work for each platform. And Marie, I'll share a blog that actually talks about, from Hootsuite, the best times to post on each platform. So I'll give you guys all of the information you need to be able to maximize each post on each platform. But I'll tell you that this game, like, it's more about consistency and automating it than it is about getting the very most, like the last ounce of everything out of every platform. How do I know? Because I've done it for 5 years and we've generated a ton of business off of social media, and I have used Hootsuite almost the entire time. So yes, I could probably dial down and get the most out of each one of those, but I don't even think that it's necessary. It's up to you. Some people like to do it, some people don't. If you're like, hey, I just want to have some sort of consistency, Hootsuite is the way to go. And right now, you can sign up for Hootsuite for free, and you can tie in 3 social media platforms. So I would recommend Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. would be the 3 that I would target. And you can get a business page for each one of those. You can do Facebook business page, you can do Instagram business, and you can also do a LinkedIn business account. I will say with LinkedIn, a lot of people already have a very large LinkedIn personal profile. And as long as you are okay with sharing that you're now a real estate investor, I know some people can't, the LinkedIn personal profile is a huge asset to get a jump start on finding private money and potentially finding deals amongst the people that you already know. So LinkedIn business is probably something that you can add on the side to also continue to build out as well as a company page. The problem is LinkedIn just hasn't figured out how to optimize for us what we do. They haven't figured out how to optimize the LinkedIn company page yet, like they have the Facebook business page. So just to say that again, LinkedIn personal is way more powerful right now than LinkedIn company. Okay. All right. Cool. So Canva, I mentioned Canva. Does anybody not know what Canva is? I don't see any hands. Wow. Well, I hope I haven't been talking at two down here. I hope I've been talking at a high enough level. If everybody already knows what Canva is, that's amazing. When I found Canva, I was like, I couldn't believe, exactly. That's how I felt. I felt like, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed, because I do not know how to work all those other programs. And funny story, I was using Canva for so long. So Canva is great for creating content, creating graphics, being able to overlay your logo on everything and just like use your colors and brand everything. So I was using it and I was pretty proud of myself. I was like, man, this is some pretty good stuff. I didn't know how, I'm still, before Canva, I was going into Microsoft Word and creating word art. And like, I was kind of like proud of the word art that I was creating. So to find Canva and to be able to do what I did, I was proud of it. And then Jessica came on board and she's like, all right, put the crayons down. We're not going to color with crayons anymore. I use Adobe and we can make real things with Adobe Illustrator and Spark and all these other things. And I was like, really? Is it that bad? But it's not. I mean, Canva, like I look at a lot of people's stuff. There's a company I'm going to share with you guys. Actually, I'll share it right now. This company has awesome content, and I hit her up and I go, what are you using to create all your content? Guess what she said? Canva. And I'm like, get out of here. Are you serious? And I felt like I needed to figure out how to up my game on Canva because she was making stuff that was amazing. So this company, write this down. It's pro. This is one word, pro. And then I guess it's Scion. I don't know. PROCYON. PROCYON Properties LLC. She's a Fortune Builder student. She uses Canva for all of her stuff. Amazing content. So that's somebody that you guys can use as inspiration. But you know, there's just that just goes to show you what you can do. And what I want you to do when you guys go to that website or to that girl's page, I want you to notice the branding that she's done, because that's the next piece that I want to get into is branding. And that's where Canva is powerful, is your branding on your social media is so important. And so you'll see as you go through these social medias, like especially hers, like she has like the same 2 colors. She has the same style. Her logo is very definitive. Let's see, hold on. I just see, actually there's 11 questions. I didn't even see this. Marie, are any of these questions? Should I be answering any of these?
I'm answering.
Oh, okay, good. I just saw it pop up for the first time.
And I just added, so canva.com's in here. You said ProCyon, PROCYON Properties LLC. So I wrote that in there.
Yeah, perfect.
.com. And then I put in what you said about the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
Hootsuite.
And then Hootsuite, is the.
This is why I don't do social media. Did you see what just happened? Like I was right in the middle of delivering and I saw this thing pop up and I'm like, ooh, what was that? And like, I totally got derailed. This is why I don't do social media. Squirrel.
Exactly.
So no, branding is very important, and the one thing that I've noticed, especially in my space in South Jersey, is like when we really started hitting it on all cylinders with our social media, we would get people that would come to us and they would say, they're like, man, y'all's content, like we know whenever we're scrolling, whenever we see your blue, which is that light blue that I have, and if Jessica was on here, she'd tell you the exact color code. Of what it is, but like that blue, like people would see it. This is what they would tell us, is they would see it and they would stop because they knew it was our content. And so that's the power of that. It's kind of like Pepsi and all that other stuff. Like you guys don't even need to really see what the logo is, as long like you see colors and you're like, you know whose color that is. And so that goes a long way to establishing brand recognition and becoming a household name amongst your circle in your area. And so the other thing that ended up happening, which is kind of funny, is I went to, oh no, it was on the Facebook, Fortune Builders Facebook. And somebody hit me up. It's like somebody shared a post, and the guy hit me up and he forwarded me the post, and he goes, John Paul, these people are using your blue. And I'm like, it's not my blue. They're like, no, this is Anchored Homes. Like, are you gonna let them do that? I'm like, dude, it's not my blue. It's okay. I'm all right with it. So, and then the next week I got something pushed to me. They're like, these people are using your logo. I'm like, okay, that's too much. They can't use my logo. That's mine. The blue is okay, but the logo's not. So, but that's just around the whole brand recognition. So we've actually had on social media in our local area, we've had agents that have seen our property updates, and they are waiting to show our properties because like they say like, hey, you want to buy an Anchored Homes property. Like that's how much the brand has grown in our local market. And it was because of Facebook. It wasn't because of any flyer that I passed out. It was because of Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn that Anchored Homes brand grew to be what it was, where these agents know like, that's an Anchored Homes property. I mean, 30 flips in 2 years helps as well, but the social media was a huge part of it. So Canva, brand. The one thing that I would recommend for you guys with your logos is the more simple it is, the better it is, especially if you're looking to brand a lot of your content. So actually going back to like that Monday motivation, when I download like the quote that I want to use, I put it right over to Canva. I throw my logo right in the corner. I download that and I use that on all my social media platforms. What I found is that, through having a social media company now, there's a lot of people that have very, very complex, difficult logos that make it extremely hard to, even read, some of the small, like there's small words in some of these logos, and there's like a lot of little details in some of these logos. And so what I've found through logos is the more simple it is, the easier it is to use on, across print, across social media, and across a couple of, any other place that you're going to put it. So we've actually, see how simple that is. The Pepsi logo is the same way. It's so simple. We're on our third version of our company and our logo. So we got about 6 months into it, and we changed from Capital K Investments, which was a strong masculine name, which actually absolutely sucked when I went to a seller appointment, because people are like, oh, you're an investment company, huh? Right? Like, it's like, oh, I need something a little bit more warmer, like Anchored Homes sounds more warm than Capital K Investments. So we rebranded, new logo, new name, new everything. And so I say that to just, if you guys haven't started branding yet, it's never too late. Like if you're looking at your logo and you're like, okay, maybe this is a little too complex, or maybe it's just not the logo that I wanted, but it was just something just to get it out there. It's never too late to actually do that. So
I think that goes along too with the emails where people get these big long names, and then it's Liz at I will take your home forever solutions and make it the best LLC.com. And it's like, oh my gosh, short and sweet, people, less is more.
Yeah. And I did that with my original company too. It was, Stellar Property Solutions LLC.com. So my email address was Marie at Stellar Property Solutions LLC.com. And then after like 6 months, I was like, this is ridiculous. And then I just found AZ Stellar was available. So Marie at AZ Stellar is a lot easier to tell people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I like about that, and it kind of just like you're saying exactly what I'm saying, right? Like it's never too late to find, like, to rebrand or do something like that, to be able to shorten that up and make it better for your marketing, for your, selling or talking to people and stuff like that. So, the other thing I want, Marie, if you can write this down, is I have all of those different types of contents that I was talking about. I have websites that you guys can go to find motivation, inspiration, maymays, all the other things. Like, I've got websites for each one of those different types of content that I'll share with you guys. I'll also share, Marie, the social media tracking spreadsheet that we created, that we give that we used to give our virtual assistant. So I'll share that with you guys, so that way you guys can have something. You don't have to use it, but maybe it just gives you an idea of how to be able to create something like that. Let's see what else. So no, I think that's it. Unless you have some questions. Is there something, you've heard me talk about this a million times. So is there something that I've talked about previously that maybe I didn't hit on this one?
Well, I don't know too. I think it's just, we're with Social Soaring now. And so maybe, and I don't know if it's too soon, but what are the costs involved in it? And what, how much is it to get in? And
I'll talk about Social Soaring a little bit. I was telling Marie, like, I really didn't want to come on to try to pitch Social Soaring. I wanted to come on and just try to give you guys like all the tools. I can talk a little bit about Social Soaring.
Well, and we have Bob scheduled too in a couple weeks or something, right, Marie?
Yes.
So
Bob
then he'll
coming on.
Yeah, so Bob McIntosh. So you know what? That's great, because I think what you're going to do is you're going to see the difference between like what we do and what he does, right? So like, he's a full-blown marketing company that will charge $20,000 for social media and everything around it, right? So and there's companies out there that are like that, and there's a lot of companies that will pay to have a $20,000 social media marketing and website and all this other stuff. We're on the very, very opposite end of that spectrum, and we are as cheap as it possibly gets, as cheap as we can make it. And so, Social Soaring, like I said, was kind of born from, trying to create a cost-effective solution for social media. For real estate entrepreneurs that are looking. They know the value of social media. They know they want to build their brand, but they hate social media, or they just don't even want to go through all the steps that I went through. And so we created this company that's, basically it's the first step is the way that we look at it. Is we hope that we are just a stepping stone to help you get to a company like Bob's maybe one day, where they do charge those extra things, and maybe you get a lot of big stuff out of it. But we at least just want to make it affordable to have people at least start getting something on social media, getting some consistency and building your brand, and doing it with a message that is very clear about the type of people that you're looking to help. And so
I think that's what, sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I was just going to say,
what's important about you doing it though, because you can start that cadence, but then all of a sudden, you got to be careful what you wish for. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. If stuff is starting to come in, then that starts falling off again. And then you're like, oh no, I got to keep that up again. That's one, you could do the Sunday night, whatever, but it just starts. I did that. I started getting it. And then all of a sudden it went, oh, I don't have time for that right now, because I was busy on the other stuff. So knowing somebody's doing it for me is like, oh, thank the Lord.
Yeah. So it's a relief for you. And it's also, for anybody who's coming to check on you, whether it's a private money lender to see like how you guys are doing, or a seller or an agent. There was a time when there was a 30-day period whenever I was transitioning, and I remember I got a message and they're like, hey, are you guys still open? Right? Like, because there wasn't like, it was consistent, and then it stopped there for a little bit while I was transitioning. People were like, they were doubting if I was still open because I wasn't as consistent as I was. And so that consistency is huge for credibility and authority. So, with Social Soaring, we have 3 packages. Actually, we just created a 4th one. We have 4 packages right now. The first package is an entry level, just a 3 posts per week. And I think right now our price is $147 per month. Where I was paying $400 per month, we are charging $147 per month to do 3 posts per week on 3 platforms. We always recommend getting branding. Branding is a little extra because there's a couple more steps involved to branding all your posts. So if you wanted to add branding to your package, it's like under $20 a month. So for under $170, under $160, like you're getting what I was getting. You're getting more than what I was getting when I was paying $400 a month. So we have like an entry level packet, and that's really kind of just to get everyone started. And at some point, you guys might get a couple flips under your belt, or you're just ready to go to 5 posts per week. And then we have a package for that. And then we have another package, a couple, like the next 2 packages up. That's where you start to get into like some of these bells and whistles on social media. So like Instagram Reels, Facebook, stories. You'll have Instagram stories, Instagram Reels. We've done some YouTube, TikTok, and we start to get into some of the other platforms at these higher packages. So, maybe someone who's already kind of kicking butt on social media just wants to hand it off and then find out how they can actually take it to the next level with some things that maybe they don't know about that's really kicking butt on social media. Then those top 2 packages could be good for you guys. You guys can always check out our package prices. We keep them up to date on our website, socialsoaring.com. And I wish Jessica could have been on the call because she is a ball of energy and knowledge. She's really kind of the brains behind the operation. I'm like the visionary guy. I have a lot of good ideas, and she's the one that helps actually like keep me in line and execute it. So her calendar is linked on the website. So if you did socialsoaring.com/free, FREE, you can actually set up a 1-hour free consultation with Jessica, and you can let her know like where your business is at, what you can go in there not knowing what you want to know or not knowing what you need to know. And Jessica's really good at discovering kind of like where you're at and some things that we could do for you. No obligation at all, but it's definitely worth an hour of your time just to kind of get a temperature check on your social media and what you're doing. So I would recommend, even if you don't want to get it off your plate, let her tell you like some of the hottest things that are going on social media right now that are getting some of the best traction.
So that leads me to one question, because I know we want to try and let John Paul get off a little bit early tonight. So, but you just
it's over.
You just said TikTok, and I want to know what you think is relevant or going on with TikTok, because I felt like TikTok was like for 12-year-olds, but now my sister is actually sending me people that are promoting real estate on TikTok. And she's like, no, you and Liz got to get on there, man. You guys got to start creating content on TikTok. You're going to be great. So
yeah. So
are they showing on TikTok? Are they dancing in front of the house?
They're
not
creating content, really, just like explaining things and talking about stuff. It was amazing.
Yep. Huh. It's gone from just dancing to now doing exactly what you just talked about. They are the one that I just saw yesterday was these 2 kids in a car, and they were talking about the process of how they just locked down a deal. They were talking about how they generated a lead. They talked about how they negotiated with the person and like everything behind it. And it was like a 4-series TikTok that they did, and they did it in their trendy little way where they're passing the phone around and all the crap that happens on TikTok and the way that they do it. But so the platform is shifting. And also, here's what what I would challenge everybody is not to think one dimensional when it comes to your business. So a lot of people, they think one dimensional because you think that all you're looking for on social media is a seller lead. Well, leads come in so many different ways, right? There are agent leads. We've raised over $8 million for our company through the Fortune Builders community on Facebook. So our Facebook presence in Fortune Builders has had us raise over $8 million for our projects. And so, there's private money lender leads, there's contractor leads, there's other investor leads. And so this is where, I wouldn't just classify the success of your social media as a seller lead. Yes, that is something that we can help you do through group sharing from like your Tuesdays and Thursdays posts. But any of those other types of connections that you can make that can change your business are also leads. So that's still one dimensional though. When you start thinking 2 and 3 dimensional, these are like other streams of income that you can make from your business by using something like social media. And here, I'll give you an example. And this is how some people are using TikTok to answer your question. So they're investors. Yes, they're looking for leads. But what they're also doing is they're creating a following of other investors and other people that are now looking to them because they're the subject matter expert. And then they're following it up with, like Marie, if at any point, you wanted to generate people to come into your group and you're selling memberships, that's how these people are doing this. So now they're charging to be part of groups that they're moderating or that they're facilitating. We do this a lot with our local group in South Jersey. We do a lot of content creation that drives people locally to our meetings where they pay for dinner, they pay for admission, and then they eventually sign up for a membership. So that's like a 2-dimensional approach. We're using the credibility of our business, but we're generating content. Another thing could be, for people who have done this long enough, you guys probably have systems of your own, documents that you've created, processes or tips or tricks that might help other people. What we've done, I'll give you an example. Here's a way that we've made money off of social media is that we did a lot of text messaging. And we ended up creating a script. We have 45 responses and they're all based off of what people say. And so through my posting, through my company updates, I say, we've just locked down another lead on a bankruptcy through text messaging using this amazing text messaging script. And then what ends up happening, people are like, hey, what text messaging script are you using? Oh, well, it's something that I created. And we're actually, if you're interested in it, we're selling it for $47. And all day long, real estate entrepreneurs will pay for something that they don't have to create if it's generated a lead for somebody else. And so when you start thinking 2 and 3 dimensional, you can continue to start thinking about how all these platforms can help bring awareness to you and your brand, and then you can monetize on some of that awareness. So that's
super helpful. Do you have time for one last question before you jump off? I know you got another call to get on.
Nope, that other call is done. So we're good to go.
Oh, you're done?
Fire away. Yep.
All right, good. So then I'll open it up. Does anybody have questions for John Paul?
John Paul, I got a question for you. I love metrics and KPIs. So what are those specific metrics and KPIs that you're looking at? Is that obviously you want to grow your business, and I'd probably set a target, let's grow at this percentage or to this amount, but is it that simple?
Yeah, so that's one of them, right? So growth is one. Interaction is another one. I love to know how much interaction I'm getting on specific posts because that allows me to be able to say, all right, these Funny Fridays aren't working. Let's put in more open houses, or let's put in something. So we track likes, comments, shares on all of our posts across all of our platforms as well.
Okay.
And by growth, he just means like new people that are liking or subscribing to your pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should remember.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, even at your lowest level, Social Soaring says what, 50 new members per month or something, or 50 new subscribers per month?
Yeah, great. I didn't even cover that part. Yeah, so that's part of something that we do as well is we guarantee a certain amount of growth at each package. So like, yeah, you're right. The entry package is 50, and then as you go up, we spend more time growing your account. And I think it's worth noting that it's not just like BS type followers either. Like we go out and we find industry specific people that are really going to be useful for your business, people that are going to want to follow you. We don't go out and just add a bunch of people just to add a bunch of people. And it's really easy actually. So if you guys are going to find somebody else to do this, don't let them blow smoke and say that they're going to grow your accounts and then use LinkedIn as the metric to say, hey, we're growing your accounts, because LinkedIn is by far the easiest platform to grow your followership. I would say your Facebook business page and Instagram would be a good check to see if they're actually putting in the work to grow your account the way that what you're paying for.
That's exactly true. Marie and I just had that conversation today because I get notifications and I was like, are you seeing all these people that are like in our Instagram page? And she's like, I mean, it's just like doing so-and-so likes Liz and Marie, so-and-so likes Liz and Marie, so-and-so is following Liz and Marie. And I was like, woo, woo, what? Yeah. So
we just took over your account last week, right?
Yeah, what's today?
Monday.
Monday. Yeah. So 3 days ago, we just started taking over your account.
Yeah. So, and literally today, I mean, I shut off notifications, but Liz was like, holy crap, there's all these people following our page. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And yeah, she's getting the notifications.
Because I wondered why. I was like, why am I getting all these notifications now on Instagram? And then I started really paying attention. I was like, oh, it's all the Liz and Marie stuff.
She also didn't realize we started because she was like, Marie, you did a really good post on Monday. And I was like, I didn't read that post.
Oh, that's funny. So I'll tell you, this is also what happens when you hand off your social media. I went home for Thanksgiving one year, and my sister-in-law, she was like, I really loved that post that you did and she quoted some post, and I'm like, what was it? And she's like, what do you mean, what was it? It was the one that you just did this. I'm like, all right, I don't do my social media. She's like, shut up. Are you serious? And I was like, yeah, don't think less of me, please. And she's like, no, I mean, it's great content, but you don't do that? And I'm like, no, I don't do it. And so it was just one of those things, like, I almost felt like I was robbing her of like, everything that she grew to love about Anchored Homes, but she got over it.
Hey, we still post some of our own stuff. So there would be some real stuff for us.
Great point. No, and that's an amazing, amazing point that I'm so glad you brought that up, because the point of hiring a company like Social Soaring, obviously if you get into these higher level packages, there's going to be a lot of great stuff there. But even at this lower package, it's just to create consistency. There's nothing stopping you guys from doing more content on top of when you have content to post yourself. So I do that a lot. I have 5 posts per week on Anchored Homes, but if I'm going to a property, I might just go live right there, right on my page. Or if I'm doing something, I'll just post something right there. So sometimes we'll have 10 posts per week, and 5 of those are me, and then 5 of them are Social Soaring doing our content. So that's a great point that you make, that it's there for consistency, but you're more than willing, or more than welcomed to post more on top of that.
Yeah.
Gail, did you have a question?
Actually, I do. Where are you finding the best places to post abandoned signs for buying and selling properties?
That's a great question. So we use buy and sell groups in the local area, and there's actually kind of a really cool ninja tip that I'll give you right here is, so these bandit signs that we create, where it says like, we buy fire damaged properties. What we do is we'll take and we'll share that from our Facebook business page, and we'll share it into these local buy and sell groups. So around here, once a quarter, this is what we do personally, not Social Soaring. I mean, could be part if you guys buy into like the group sharing package. But what we'll do is once a quarter is we look for new buy and sell groups in the areas that we're doing business. So, for anybody who's doing remote investing, I know there was a couple people on here, you might go into the areas where you're looking for deals or selling deals, and you just, you go into Facebook and you say Phoenix, and there's a couple different ways that these things are labeled. Like some of them are called SWIP swap, some of them are called buy and sell, Some of them are called Trash and Treasure. There's Buy, Sell, Trade. There's a whole group category on Facebook for buy and sell groups, and you just go into your local area and look for those. And that's where we're finding deals. I actually posted something 2 weeks, no, it's like 3 weeks ago now, where I took a We Buy Inherited Properties. I shared it into 67 buy and sell groups in South Jersey. And within 5 minutes, I got a phone call from somebody that we're under contract with for his house. And he basically said, hey, my wife just saw your post in this buy and sell group. You buy inherited properties. We've had this property for 11 years. All we've done is pay taxes and get fines on it. And we'd love to see if you can give us an offer on it. And so that's where we're finding, sharing our content is in those buy and sell groups. Does that help?
I have a quick question about that though, based on.
Oh, sorry. I didn't even get to the ninja tip. Sorry. I'm going to cut you off for a second. Right. So I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So the ninja tip is so a lot of these buy and sell groups, they have very strict rules. You can't advertise your business, right? So think about what you're there for. Most people, they're there to either sell something or buy something. Hey, you're there to buy something, aren't you? Right? So just making sure that your verbiage, there's a common term that's used in all of these groups. It's called ISO. Write that down if you've never heard of it. ISO, which means in search of. So basically what we would do is we would share from our Facebook business page into these groups. And we say ISO inherited properties. And so when I put that ISO, I'm now positioning myself as a buyer. I'm in search of inherited properties. So now instead of me advertising my services, I'm saying I want to buy something. And if anybody tries to challenge me on it, I kind of just said it like, hey, you've got this mom over here that comes in here and says she's in search of a lightly used high chair. Why can't I come in here and say I'm in search of an inherited property? I am also a buyer. So it's kind of a gray line. And so I've had people say, yeah, okay, like I get that you're hacking the system by putting ISO and you're saying you're a buyer, but you're still it's your Facebook business page and everything. I said, okay, would it be okay if I came in here and I just said that I'm in search of a fire damaged property? They're like, if you don't share it from your Facebook business page, absolutely, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that all day long. So, sometimes there's probably some compromise that you're going to have to make in some of these groups because the people that run these groups, they take a lot of pride in being able to control everything in the group, and you could get booted. So that's the ninja tip is the ISO, positioning yourself as a buyer, and you can't buy people. So never look for people, always look for a product, right? So you're always looking for some sort of house. You're never looking for people in situations because now you're selling a service. You're looking for a house. So
on that line, you wouldn't necessarily put your business name in that ad?
I do, as much as they'll let me. Yeah, I share from my Facebook business page into the group, which has all of my branding on there. It's that bandit sign with my logo on the bottom of it. So they'll see that on there. But my message is very simple. ISO fire damage properties when I'm sharing it with the group. Does that make sense, Gail?
So it looks very much like a bandit sign on the corner of the street. You're just putting it in a Facebook page.
You could, yeah, you could use like one of those signs. Like I said, I think that we use pictures of the types of properties that we're looking for. So if it's a flood damaged property, we might look for we might use a picture of a house that's flooded.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, so my quick question is, in all that internet quick start training, can we post that many times, or do you have to space it out in the group still? I don't know if it, things constantly changing. So you do 5 and then 5. You just said 70 something. So if you did all 70, wouldn't you just get?
So it all depends on the age of your account. Facebook really they try to stop spam. And so you have to season your account. And so I've been put in Facebook jail once for oversharing and commenting. And it was like, for my account, it was like, I shared like 250 and they were like, yeah, okay, you got to stop, bro. But I would say, like, anybody who has a new account that hasn't been doing this, when you talk about the number 5, right? We talk about joining groups, like probably no more than 5 a day, right? So like space it out as you're joining these groups to start building out your groups. But then sharing, you're absolutely right. The algorithm changes all the time. It's hard to tell what Facebook wants today versus tomorrow versus my account versus your account, and so it's really hard to pin that down. So yeah, I would say, 5 is probably a good number to start with. And if you don't get kicked out, maybe try 6, maybe try 7. But I will tell you that it's kind of like a sprained ankle. Is once you get put in Facebook jail, your account is now very susceptible to being highly monitored. And potentially flagged again. So you don't ever want to really get yourself in that position because you become they start watching you.
Okay.
As if they weren't already watching us.
Yeah, censorship seems to be the new game in town, so watch it.
That was a great question, though. Thank you.
All right, anybody else with questions? Because I was just thinking about it. Liz, we actually said we're skipping accountability until the end of the month, right? Or next month?
Yes, we are. We're only doing it monthly now.
I forgot that. We used to do it weekly, but then there's so many, people coming in and out that we're not going to do it weekly anymore. Janice, I see your face. Do you have a question?
No, she's
No, I do. Actually, I do. And it's so, thank you so much, John. It's so resourceful. It's so good. I just feel like bombarded with so much information. It's like which one is best? Which one I should choose? It's like, that's what I feel like. As the group here right now, I have a child with special needs. He has autism. So I have to get every time that I can get to do my real estate, I have to just, be very, effective.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So it just, and it's hard. It's a little bit hard, but and especially now, like Mary Viginski had working and social and working at home, so online school. So time is limited.
Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah, so I just tried to organize that, but definitely it's more affordable, like doing something like that. And
it gets it off of your plate. I mean, if Jessica was on here, she'd tell you, like, there's like, people don't go down to town square anymore to patronize companies. Like, everything's done online now in Facebook Marketplace, and like a lot of people are buying stuff straight off of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. So it's extremely important to get your brand and your business on social media. And the last thing that you probably want to do, amongst all the other things that you have to do for your business, is worry about how to generate content, post, and be consistent, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think, Janeth, too, the thing to think about is you either have to be consistent, and like John Paul said in the beginning, because I think I added you in later in the discussion. So like, either you're scheduling that, 1 to 2 hours on Sunday, and you're scheduling out your whole week so that you're not, worrying about it for the rest of the week, or, you're hiring a VA like I did and pay $50 a week. But then with your VA, you do have to be very specific. And what I love about Social Soaring is it was comparable to the price that I was paying a VA, but it's going to give me much better results that are actually being measured each month, So for and I think I bought in at the level up from the lowest. So I'm still at like $200 a month, which is what I was paying a VA, from Bangladesh, that wasn't getting me the results that I need.
But there's accountability there too, because that's the number of people that they're saying they're going to attract to our sites. And so it's accountability on their part too, whereas that wasn't coming from before. Oh, I had hired somebody, we're going to post for you, but there was no accountability on their end on that. So, you know, that's a huge part of it. They're going to say that we're going to tell you, you're going to get this many number of people, and then they don't. Well, there's going to be a discussion there then, you know, okay, you either need to up your game or what's happening here, because we're not getting what you said. And so I like that part of it too.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And definitely I will get to.
Well, and I know,
more.
Janet, you guys have had a couple of deals. So even just the project updates are simple enough if you can remember to do those, you know, when you stop by the property and do a quick live video. I think the videos help even more than photos. So just keep that in mind too.
Definitely. I haven't done that, and definitely I will do that.
Yeah.
So I think the other thing that comes along, I'll say what's, you know, another added benefit is, you know, you kind of both alluded to this, was like, you know, you have a virtual assistant, but then you have to manage that virtual assistant, right? And the management could be just as much of a pain in the butt as the content creation. And so, you know, that's one thing, like when you hire, you know, I'll just say Social Soaring, you guys get 3 dedicated people to your account. You get a social, or you get a success manager, you get a content creator, and you get a growth expert. You have 3 different people working on 3 different aspects of your business. So the growth expert is literally concentrated on growing your business every week. The content creator creates all of the graphics and all the verbiage based off of the recommendations and of the areas that you guys want to concentrate, or the types of leads that you guys want to attract. And then the success manager is managing that entire process of those people. So you don't even have to manage it. You have somebody that's going to manage that for you. We should probably up our prices.
Tony, do you have a question?
That's fine, but you have to grandfather people in. There has to be a grandfather clause.
Well, there's no contract, so you're I mean, like, it's not like your contract, like, you guys don't even sign a contract, so you're free to come and go as you please. So as long as you're there, then yeah, you're absolutely at the price that you came in at.
Yeah, don't do it yet. I'm finally going to pull the plug, even if I have to pay out of my personal account. I met with Jessica and then COVID.
Oh yeah.
And all my money had to go to the interest on the projects I couldn't do. So it's coming. This is definitely, I've tried to do the content. I've hired 2 people locally. They never did what they said they were going to do, playing games.
Bring it. We're ready for you. Especially, I mean, Jennifer, we have such a history together. It would just be awesome to be able to do your social media.
I've been dying. I just, like, literally, I had one do it, and she kept posting all these like $1 million dream homes and things like that. And I'm like, you're missing my target audience. They do not want to be looking at I'm trying to go after distressed, and you're sending out all these, you know, multi-million-dollar crap. And I just finally, and that was not the day she was supposed to do, it was just bad. So yes.
See you soon.
I have a question.
Yes. Thank you so much for tonight.
What's your
Regina,
question? Who was
Bradley,
that?
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
So this is the first time I've heard about the Social Soaring, and I was curious. My husband is looking into expanding into Airbnbs this new year, and that's kind of like his big thing. So is that something that could be beneficial for advertising that, or would it be entirely different since it would be on Airbnb exclusive? You incorporate that.
So that's a great question, and I think the best way that I can answer that is we cover actually more than real estate entrepreneurs. We do everything from, we have printing companies, we have medical companies, we have basketball coaches, we have hair product people, we have water treatment companies. So anything that you think would benefit from having a social media presence, which is almost every business, we can handle that, and we can craft a message that's specific to your industry and the type of people that you're looking to attract. Whether that's you can actually, Love My Stay. I haven't been consistent, so this is like the car mechanic that drives the beater around. But Love My Stay is my Facebook page, and you can see like the type of stuff. So it's LUVMYSTAY, Love My Stay. I've been doing that personally whenever I have time, which isn't much these days. So you can see like how I was starting to use Love My Stay as a way to just let people in my local area know that we have short-term rentals. We're looking to work with wedding planners who are looking to, house people when they're coming into town, or anybody who has our Airbnbs are out by NASA. And so we get like SpaceX and Blue Origins. Like there's a lot of contractors that come in and that are building, and they're all looking for corporate housing. So we try to use our social media as a way to, let them know that we exist in the area and to come book with us. And so I think that there are opportunities there. And maybe if you look at Love My Stay, you can see how like we were using like project updates whenever we were getting a new house or we were decorating a house. We were like taking people along the process, because that's what sells. Reality sells, right? Like people love to watch and follow that stuff. So
do you guys do health and nutrition as well?
Yes. Actually, we just picked up a power bar by I can't remember his name right now. It escapes me. It's a brand new power bar by Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis has this new health and nutrition bar that's coming out that has all these people backing it. And we actually just picked up the social media account for that.
All right. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and Regina too,
Yeah.
just so you know, for Airbnbs and stuff, there's a lot of local groups that you should find and join too. So whatever market you're going to Airbnb in, there's like Airbnb host groups that they give each other a lot of ideas, or people will even post in there and say, hey, I have someone coming into town in this area. Do you have an Airbnb? I can book direct to you without paying Airbnb fees and stuff like that. So look for groups for Airbnb hosts in whichever area you're going to work in.
We have a group, not for Airbnb, but for one of our, we invest out of state, obviously. So in Arkansas, we have a group, and we have a lot of rental property. So they do the same thing. There's hardly any vacancies, but they're all on like our managers on a group line, and they just pass it along. Do you have anything open? Do you have anything open? And it's great. Everybody's doing really well with it. So
Nice.
Good tip. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Any other questions in our last few minutes here together?
Well, this is not a question, but I saw a post from Paul in the Fortune Builders Facebook group that I don't know if you're looking to lend in Dominican Republic. If you need somebody to speak Spanish, well, I'm here.
We have 3 Airbnbs that we're looking to pick up down there.
Oh, wow.
And so I wanted to understand. So I want to understand what people look for when they're lending into out of state or out of country, because I want to be able to present an opportunity for someone to lend to us for the Airbnbs on these in the Dominican Republic. But I just wanted to see, I wanted to understand what the process was from people who have done it before, so that way I can make a good presentation. I know a realtor, she's from there. And I know this other lady who's working and doing real estate in Mexico and the República Dominicana. Okay, all right. Yeah. So, well, good. Let's link up. All right. We will. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Oh,
Thank you,
Carolyn,
John Paul.
look at that kitty.
I know, John Paul, your information is awesome. And I loved hearing your story at the beginning because what happened to you in 2018, whoop, whoop. So I might have to, asked me how I know about that too. Oh God, no.
Well, and this is off topic, but Marie Berry wants to do some rental arbitrage. So I told her she should talk to you, John Paul.
Absolutely. I was so upset when COVID hit, because I got shut down by 30 different landlords. And then I finally figured out what to say. And then I was like, boom, boom, COVID. I was like, dang it. I felt like I was probably going to pick up 20 that year because I figured out how to talk to landlords to get them to understand it. So I'd love to speak to you and share with you what worked for us.
Cool.
I think you're lucky though, because Marie and I, we know a couple people here, and we told you that really, really took it in the shorts, because it was spring training here. They were all booked out, and everything just in a snap of the fingers went dead cold. And they had 30 mortgage or 30 rentals they had to pay, and there was no money coming in anymore. So, I think that was a little godsend then. That just, picks back up and can come back
I
around.
think my boys are coming to let me know that it's time to get off the call. So
Yeah.
This has been so
Awesome. I have
valuable.
1% on my laptop.
Hey, John, I would love
I've
to
got
connect
1% on my laptop. Before it dies, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
No,
you,
thank you
JP.
so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
So glad to join you.
Thank you so much. Well,
Thank you. Yeah.
Marie,
Yes.
Marie, can I ask, when and where are you gonna post the stuff that John Paul sends you?
I'll put it in the weekly huddle group, and let's see, is there a way that I can find out the participants for this event in particular to make sure? But there is a section in our Facebook group for hey, my kids are touching my computer. Don't shut up my Zoom. For us to put actual what's it called? Like attachments and stuff. Files.
Yeah, I would
Files,
put it in there because people are either going to know it's there and then just, if you were on the call, here's the information.
Yeah,
And
so
if
I'll
they
put it in the
don't, they're not
files
gonna know.
section, Melissa, but then I'll make an announcement to you to let you know.
Basically, right now I'm looking.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I know I'm not in your group because I kind of stumbled on this through JJ's. So
Oh yeah, I
Same
put
here.
this one particular in the in JJ's group, but if you guys are not part of our group, you should join the weekly huddle PHX. You can find us on Facebook for our groups.
great.
They're very excited. We have to go pick up my mother-in-law at the airport right now. So they're just literally like, come on, mom, come on. We gotta go to the airport.
Grandma time. Want to play? Do you guys want to come home and play? We'll play. We have a lot of fun games.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, awesome. I gotta sign off here, guys. John
Thanks for
Paul,
your
thank
time,
you
John
so
Paul.
much.
Thank you.
For all the content.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Nicely done, John Paul.
Thank you. That was awesome. All right, now you can press end. Go there. Ready? Bye-bye.